Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue with Because of Mr. Turrupt. All right. And we are starting with the month of November. To just give you a quick rehash of October, the two main things that went down in that month were the science experiment. Remember, there was kind of a little bit of drama with that. The concoction that the one character, I believe Luke, made that started making smoke and whatever. And then also the girl drama between Alexia, Danielle, and I believe that was Jessica, who came and Alexia was trying to sabotage different relationships. And when I say sabotage, like ruin them, you know? And one of the things we suspect, because I think Jessica's plan didn't work or whatever, was that Alexia might have been the one to knock it on the ground. But we'll find out later. Okay. So we start off November with Luke, all right, the Brainiac. All right. It was November. Apparently that meant for Mr. Turrup to get crazy with his math ideas again. I think he was on a mission to put us through his math gauntlet. Dollar word. We're going to figure out the number of blades of grass in the soccer field, he announced one day. What? You're going to make us count grass? Peter yelled. That's nuts. No way, Nick was hollering. Dollar word. How are we supposed to do that? Tommy said. I raised my hand. Yes, Luke? You mean we're going to estimate the total number, right? I said. Yes and no, Mr. Turrup said. We'll actually do some calculating to get a reasonable approximation. I was beginning to think that Peter might have been right. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but I know we can do it, Mr. Turrup said. Besides, if everything we did were easy, then you wouldn't learn anything. We need to be challenged in order to learn. Mr. Turrup was right about it being a challenge. None of us had any idea how we were going to count blades of grass, but we did. First, we decided we wanted to count 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter squares. So think of something a little smaller than this, square, maybe like to that point, right? All right. Which was my suggestion after Mr. Turrup talked to us about sampling and how our government gets population numbers. Then we measured the squares on large pieces of cardboard and cut them out. So we were left with a piece of cardboard that had 10 centimeters square missing in the middle. That was Mr. Turrup's suggestion. Now it would be easy to toss out our piece of cardboard around the field and collect random 10 centimeter samples. So far, so good. Time to head outside. We marched downstairs and out the front doors by the office. Then we stampeded down the sidewalk until the end of the building. The soccer field awaited us on the side of our school. All right, next we're going to move on to Peter. But before I do that, I got to charge this because I just got a warning that my battery life is going down. So, all right. That happens to you guys sometimes, right, with the Chromebooks. All right. So we continue. All right, now we're on to Peter. All right, so Peter, remember he's the kid who always goofs off in class and things like that. She was bent over counting great blades of grass. It was the perfect opportunity. Mr. T was busy helping someone else, so he wasn't going to see me in action. I gripped the cardboard with my best hold, dipped my knees a little, and let the frisbee fly. It zinged through the air on its mission like a missile from a fighter jet. Bullseye! Ow! Lexi shrieked, my tushy! I almost died of laughter. I dropped to my knees. I laughed so hard I couldn't stop. I couldn't catch my breath either. Lots of other kids were laughing too. Lexi yelled something about her tushy and me being a jerk. Everyone that missed out on the fun kept asking, "What happened? What happened?" Everyone except Mr. T. He came right over to me, over to make sure Lexi wasn't injured. Lexi was holding her tushy and hoping and hopping up and down, saying "ow" over and over. She's a total drama queen. Usually a teacher checks the spot that hurts, but I don't think Mr. T was really big on that this time. "Peter, that's not funny," Mr. T said to me. "Someone could have been injured. You're lucky you didn't hit anyone in the eye. Go sit down." I sat down. It was no big deal. If you had been there, you'd agree. It was super funny. All right. You know what? I'm going to give one more character a shot today, and we're going to go with Luke. We're going to go back to Luke. All right. We spread out all over the place, tossing our cardboard squares and counting the blades of grass. Peter, however, was flinging his square like a frisbee, even though Mr. Turrup had warned us that it wasn't a toy and to be careful throwing it. Maybe if things had turned out differently that day, they would have turned out differently in the end, too. I think what happened on the soccer field just set us up for disaster later on. So Peter was being his typical sneaky self, flinging his square and counting here and there. But as soon as he spotted Alexia bent over her square, he wound up and sailed a beauty in her direction. It was a perfect delivery. Dollar word. And that tattooed, dollar word, her fanny. "Ow," she screeched. Like, what the heck? "What happened?" Mr. Turrup instantly twisted, dollar word, around. "Like someone just hit me right in my tushy and with their square," Alexia cried. "The old buttocks again, huh, Mr. Turrup? You okay?" "Yes," Alexia said. Mr. Turrup turned and looked out at us. We were laughing our heads off, and I swear I saw him smile as he shook his head at the whole scene. "Peter, come over here, please," he said. "Why me?" Peter complained. "Because we all know how much you like the buttocks area, don't we?" Classic Mr. Turrup. Instead of blowing up, he was funny about it, but in a serious way. He sat Peter out for the rest of the activity and had a talk with him. Peter didn't pretend to be innocent, but like I said, I think this setup for later. The whole thing seemed funny. No one got hurt. Peter sat out. That was it. Once we finished tossing and counting, we headed inside, where we learned how to average all our data. Then we took our average number and used it to predict the soccer field by figuring out how many of our squares could fit inside the field. The number of blades on our soccer field equals 77,537,412. This isn't an exact number, of course, but it is an accurate estimate based on all of our calculations. I learned so much by doing that project. It wasn't the stupid, easy stuff I was used to getting from my teachers, that's for sure. We were now math wizards. Dollar word. All right, we're gonna call it a day on the reading. Next character will be Jessica, and so we will find out what happens in with Jessica. All right, till next time, friends.